are still some signed copies available. They like release them. So like they sold out at one point online, but then I think they hold back a certain quantity for when the books actually go on sale, and then they release them into like bookstores, and I don't totally know how it works, but I believe that there are still some signed copies of All This Twisted Glory on Barnes & Noble's website. Other than that, I think there was a Waterstones exclusive edition, and there were signed copies of that as well, and I think those are already sold out, I believe. So I don't totally know. I'm not totally up to speed on all of that, but I think that there are some left. Okay. Leo wants to know, did you expect all the success Shatter Me got while writing the first books? No. I definitely did not. You hope, but there's no way of knowing for sure if that's really going to happen. And yeah, I mean, if you told me then that my books would still be in stock now and on shelves and that people were still reading them, I would have been totally blown away. Ava asks, do you plan on releasing a special edition of each of the books in the Shatter Me series, including the novellas, or just for a select few? I don't really control that. Right now, the special editions that I think you're talking about are the ones that my UK publisher released, and I think it's probably okay to tell you that I think it's probably okay to tell you that they're going to do special editions of all of the books. I don't know about the novellas, but that's definitely, actually, I don't know, should I say definitely? It's happening as far as I'm aware. Right, and in fact, somebody asks, Nadine asks, will there be other Waterstones editions of the Shatter Me series? So yes, I believe so. That is my understanding. Mavis asks, when is your next tour? That should be next year. I usually go on tour when I have a book out, but sometimes it's hard to be on the road so much. So right now, that's the general plan. And of course, I will keep you guys posted whenever I'm traveling. Vanya wants to know, will we get more of Cyrus's backstory in this Woven Kingdom 3? So, okay, maybe this is about the third book, not the fourth book. Yes, I think there's a lot of Cyrus's backstory in Woven Kingdom 3. Emily wants to know, will there be more book series in the future after the Woven Kingdom series? I wasn't sure with this question if Emily was asking about more books broadly and generally, or if Emily wanted to know if I was going to write more books in the Woven Kingdom series. Either way, I will definitely, hopefully, continue to write books, and whether or not there will ever be more Woven Kingdom books, maybe. I don't know. I've just realized that I should never say never, so possibly. Rafaela wants to know, is A Very Large Expanse of Sea 2 really happening? What about the adaptation? I don't know what A Very Large Expanse of Sea 2 is. Is that like a rumor or something? Because I've never heard of it. I think in general, if you are wondering about new books, if I haven't talked about it, then I don't know if you're hearing something from somewhere, or maybe somebody was hoping for something, but there is no plan at the moment for another Avlios book. I call it Avlios, A Very Large Expanse of Sea. But as far as the adaptation, I can tell you, So it's kind of a bummer, but it's not. Anyway, I get ahead of myself here. The adaptation kind of died during the strikes. The strikes kind of killed it, and which isn't to say that it's totally dead. There are some complicated details here that I can't go into great detail about right now. So it's not totally dead, but it is not where it was before the strikes. Like before the strikes, we were, so much cool stuff was happening, and it really seemed like it was going to happen. We were, location scouting, we were casting for the main character, like everything. We had an amazing screenplay, we had our director, we had like, everything was like coming together, and then it sort of came to a grinding halt. So I don't have any news for you on that right now. It's not totally dead, but it is not where it was, even like a year ago. Ciara, or maybe it's Chiara, wants to know, who do you think Warner would get along with better, Kamran or Cyrus? Kamran and Cyrus are like two of the main characters from the Woven Kingdom series, in case you did not know. And I don't know, I don't think Warner gets along with anybody, to be perfectly honest. I think he just likes Juliet for the most part, and maybe a little bit like, he makes room for like other people. But I think he would get along sort of generally well with Kamran and Cyrus, just sort of broadly speaking. He might find Kamran a little annoying. I don't know. It's hard to say. I have heard a couple of people say that Cyrus is Aaron Warner in a different font. Is this like young people speak? It's kind of adorable. And I don't think that is totally inaccurate. I think that they are fundamentally different people, but they share a lot of sad boy DNA, and I really like writing that kind of like agonized, tortured character. So yeah, I think that they, because they share a little bit of DNA, their emotional DNA, Warner and Cyrus might, they might tolerate each other. Okay, we have a few minutes left. Like so many questions asking me if I'm going to write more Shatter Me books, you guys. I'm not saying no. That's all I'm gonna say, is that I'm not saying no. It's like this entire page is just questions about more Shatter Me books. Let's see. Sophia wants to know, what pushed you to start writing? I dream of becoming a writer, but I'm afraid I'll never be good enough. Those are, I think, maybe two different questions. What pushed me to start writing? I mean, there's like a long version of this answer, but the short version is that when I was growing up, there weren't YA novels, you know, the way that there are YA novels now. It's like a whole category, a whole section of the bookstore. That didn't exist when I was a kid. I mean, you had like children's fiction and adult fiction, and mostly I read adult fiction. And when young adult had this resurgence in the industry, it was very exciting for me because I felt like it was an entire part of my life that I never really got to enjoy or experience. And when I started reading young adult novels, I remembered what it was like to read for fun again, to remember what it was like to just get lost in a story, and to read for the sake of reading, which was something I kind of lost touch with in college when I took myself very seriously and read a lot of like philosophy and, you know, which I think is very, very important, you know, critical theory, like all of that was so important, but I had lost touch with story and reading, as I said, reading for the sake of reading and not for analysis, not for a research paper. And when I started reading young adult again, I realized that I really wanted to be a part of the industry that was responsible for encouraging young people to read, because that's what I think that's the most foundational thing. Like if we want people to be readers in life, which I think is so important, to be curious, to engage, to you know, lose yourself in books forever, you have to, it helps if you develop that foundation in your youth, and it shouldn't be a chore, it shouldn't be a bore. And I really wanted to help inspire, or help just be a part of the world, as I said, responsible for getting young people to read. So I feel very, very lucky and like truly blessed when people tell me that Shatter Me got them into reading, because I'm like, that's exactly what I was hoping for, you know. And I see my daughter now, she loves to read and she's such a big reader, and it's just like I'm seeing it all come full circle, and it's really rewarding. But the other part of the question was that you're saying that you dream of becoming a writer, but you're afraid you'll never be good enough. I mean, I think if you're afraid of starting something because you're worried you'll never be good enough, then you might never start anything. And I don't think that that should be enough of a reason to not try something that scares you. I mean, I think in general you have to be afraid to fail. You have to be unafraid. Sorry, let me be very clear. You have to be unafraid to fail, because failure is inevitable. And once you get comfortable with the idea of failure, then nothing really scares you. You know, you're going to get rejected over and over and over and over and over again in anything, in all aspects of life. You know, my brother said something to me once, and I'm sure you guys have probably heard some version of this before, but when he said it to me, it was like the first time I'd ever heard it, and I thought it was so clear and concise, and it just really resonated with me. And he said, you know, successful people and unsuccessful people both hate doing the same things, right? Like, we're just people. We all hate doing the same things. We hate having to like get up early in the morning and, you know, do the work, whatever, right? But like the difference between a successful person and an unsuccessful person is that the successful person does it anyway, does the thing they don't want to do anyway. And even when it's hard, even when it's difficult, even when there's a chance it might break your heart. So, you know, it's a cliche for a reason, but if you keep getting up again after every failure, you get stronger. It makes you stronger. And, you know, I think that's really important for anything that you want to pursue. Don't be afraid to fail. Don't be afraid to be bad at first. Everyone who is good at something now was bad in the beginning in some capacity. So it's okay. It's all part of the process. Okay, we have 2 minutes left. I think it's probably time to wrap things up. Thank you so much for being here, you guys. It was so nice to be able to chat with you. Thank you for all of your questions. I'm sorry if I didn't get to answer all of your questions. But yeah, I mean, thank you. Thank you for everything. Stay safe out there. Thank you for coming. And maybe I'll see you guys again another time. So yeah, that's it. All right, guys, we're gonna wrap things up. Take care, and yeah, happy almost Ramadan. Oh, and you know, obviously, where am I? I like embroider these on all of my sweaters now. Free Palestine, you guys.